old internet connection. Okay. So we're live. Okay. Welcome back to Broadhurst Park, viewers. Welcome back to the gantry. It's Saturday, the 29th of February. It's bright, blustery, and cold, and we take on Warrington Town in the Northern Premier League today. I'm joined as usual by James Quinn and FC United manager Neil Reynolds. Thanks for joining me.
No problem. Hi, Keg. Hi, everyone.
Due to fixture postponements, the weather, waterlogged pitches, it's kind of almost become a monthly review show, whereas we were going to talk about all sorts of other stuff. But it's basically going to be mostly a run-through of what's happened between we spoke on the 1st of February last, and obviously it's the 29th of February now. And we'll start with Mickleover Sports, the game on the Saturday when we last spoke. A 3-3 draw. We came from behind 3 times, showed a lot of character.
Yeah, and I think, it was really pleasing, to be behind 3 times in a game, to come back and, possibly sneak it late on. I think a point was a fair point on reflection. And after the Mickleover game and the games that we'll talk about, we uncovered a lot about ourselves as a squad. The Barrow game hit us hard, and I didn't realise how hard it hits us. But no, immense character against Mickleover, and it gives us a good insight. We know we're going to go there next week to play them, so we know all about them. So it wasn't that long ago, but a point to point.
Yep. Then on to Earlham on the midweek for the Cup, and that was a hard-fought game again. Earlham dug in, and we had to ground out the 2-1 result.
Credit to Earlham. They didn't look like a side that was a couple of divisions below us. It's always going to happen in a semi-final. They've nothing to lose. A freak goal, we're 2-0 up with control in the game, and a freak goal changes it and changes the mindset of individuals. But our target was to get through to a final, and the next day in the paper it didn't say how we got there. It just said that we were there. So we'll accept that, and we're looking forward to the final against Stratford.
Yep, absolutely. As you say, it gives the fans something to look forward to. You said last time we spoke, if it had taken playoffs and a cup final at the beginning of the season, we'd have grabbed your hands off, basically. Yeah,
and that's what we set out to do. So we're still in the hunt for the playoffs, and we're in a final of the cup. So objective completed.
Off to Basford on a cold, blustery afternoon. I was there, and an even game. I thought lots of chances at both ends. Couple of sitters missed at both ends as well.
Great side, Basford. The way they moved the ball, in particular down our left-hand side, their right-hand side, they put some great passing patterns together. We knew we had to be at our best that day. We went 1-0 up through Chaz, and then they came back into it. But on the balance of play, apart from the last 10 minutes, I think we deserved at least a point, maybe more. But then obviously the sending off changes the last 10 minutes. We're down to 10. We had to show a different side about ourselves, and we did. And we came away from Basford with a really well fought and well earned point.
And was that sort of one of an indication of the side's character? I mean, the dropping the points, Mickleover a good side, but it was a points dropped at home, and there's always that worry: are they going to mentally become slightly fragile? But away to base, I would have thought in the first half you might have been disappointed that it wasn't more than 1-0. Yeah,
I agree. You look at the fixtures, and when you look at Basford and you look at South Shields and you look at Warrington, they're quite daunting. Sorry, something just scared myself. They're quite daunting fixtures. So to go to them places and put on performances the way we did, it just gave us great confidence. And as a squad, we talked a lot, and we set out to get a point. We got a point, and I said to Steve Chettle, I think he's got the best side in the league, and he said to me, I think you've got the best side in the league. So, that's not discrediting South Shields. That's what the conversation we had. So, 2 good sides went at it, hammer and tong, and we come out with a point.
And that's saying something, isn't it? Because I'm right in saying that Basford are a side with a decent budget, as are South Shields and Warrington and so on. So, that says something about the unit, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, they won't mind me saying it. South Shields, Warrington, Basford, they've got bigger budgets than most in the league, and they'll have an expectation from the chairman and the board to do well this season, and they all are doing well. But I think there'll be an expectation when you're outlaying that much money that you get promoted out of the division, where us, we know the financial constraints, and we're not using that as an excuse. It is what it is, and once you cross that white line, it's 11v11. It's nothing to do with money, in my opinion. It's who wants it most and which players stand up to the mark, and we've been doing that consistently all season long.
Well, I just wondered if you got any thoughts on the sending off. It was right in front of me when I was watching it. I thought it was quite a soft sending off.
It was, but I think fans ought to know that, I've had words with Regan. The first yellow card was needless. He's picked up too many of them now for me this season, where he's getting involved in altercations that you don't need to get involved in. The second one's a difficult one, because if the ref deems it as a dive, it's a yellow card. He deemed it as a dive, and it's a second yellow card, so he walks. I don't think it is. I've watched it back from every angle now. I think there's contact made. He goes down slightly theatrically, and that makes the referee's mind up. But Regan's got to look at himself and think, I shouldn't have picked up the first yellow, and he's admitted that. And we've done a lot of work, but he wears his heart on his sleeve. He gets a little bit frustrated, not taking his ability away from him, and then we missed him because he got suspended.
Back home again in the midweek game, and truly awful conditions. Certainly we feel them more than anything up here. Stafford Rangers 2-1 win. Again, it's a physical team on a good run at the time.
Yeah, I mean, Stafford came to us with one defeat in 6 or 7. They weren't a side at the bottom of the league. The manager's going to sign 4 or 5 Conference South players to hopefully help with the survival. And they came in with nothing to lose, and they gave us a real good test. And again, it doesn't matter who you play in this league. Everyone seems to be able to draw with everybody. I think Stafford picks a point up off South Shields or something like that. So you've always got to be on your guard and on your mettle. And again, we came out of it. We showed immense character. We haven't been playing great. By this point, we've been on a run of about 5 or 6 games where we haven't been on our fluent best. So to come through the Stafford game, which is again everyone expects us to win, so you got that pressure on us as well. To get the 3 points, I was really happy with.
And it's about timing, isn't it? Playing Stafford, you played Stafford a while ago, and you probably don't have such a tough job. But he brought in very good. They didn't look like a side near the bottom. And was that just getting the 3 points? Presumably that was a measure again of the side just getting the job done when they're not all firing on all cylinders.
I think at this stage of the season, any manager that doesn't say this will be lying. You just want the points. However you get them now, you just want the points with 12, 13 games to go, or 14, 15 as it was. The points are all that matters. And, our performances were exceptional in November, December, and, going into January, we then took a step back at Barrow, and they haven't been, like I just said, as good as what they have been. But we haven't suffered too much in terms of losses or points dropped. So, we'll take that. But it gives us a catalyst as well. So we were happy with the 3.
Screamer from Smith to win it as well, from where we had a perfect view of it right behind here.
He's getting better. He's Morgan. He came to us from Southport. Slightly disillusioned, full-time football, not getting in. And I know how good Morgan is. He's from Preston. He's trained with me before at Bamber Bridge, and he just wants that new lease of life. And it's a great goal. He's come off the bench, and he's been on the bench a couple of times. But no, he's getting better and better. And I know we'll touch upon it, but I thought he was exceptional at Nantwich the other night.
And it's noticeable that the games, certainly as you get into the back end of the season, the pitches are getting heavier. The games are generally just more physical. Stafford down to 10 men again.
Yeah, and they are, but you, as a manager, you want your side to be physical. You want them to be hungry. You want them to battle hard for you. I think, the manager might be slightly disappointed with the red card from the Stafford player because he got involved with Belford, and then I think the ball ended up in the SMRE, which was his second yellow as well. And, as a manager, sometimes them factors are taken out of your control, because certainly know the manager wouldn't have told, the centre-half to do what he did. But, when they went down to 10 men, we had to really put our foot down and go and get the winner, and that's what we did. But I've no doubt between now and the end of the season, everyone will look at us and target points off us, or target definitely the physical side and say, can we knock them off the stride and pick points up? Because for whatever reason, I don't think people want us to do well. But again, we'll probably get back to that afterwards.
Well, that brings us nicely onto Bamber Bridge, doesn't it? I would say, arguably, a team obviously with a point to prove going into it, and our winning run ended.
It's difficult, okay, because what I didn't do is talk about me in the dressing room before the game. I talked about FC United. I do know their manager spent 15 minutes talking about me, which, is a positive thing? I don't know. And he got the lads fired up. There was 10, 11 of my boys, I'm still in that dressing room. And the other ones wanted to prove a point, because I know one of them had played here, one of them had asked to come here, and I'd said no. And, I just said to my boys, you've got to keep going. But Bamber Bridge outworked us in every department, outfought us, caught us cold, fully deserved the win. We had choice words. But as a manager, sometimes the unbeaten run is brilliant, and we can look back on it and think, wow, what a record we went on. But all other times, when you lose it, it gives you a real kick, and makes you bounce back even stronger. And no one liked losing at Bamber Bridge. I certainly didn't. My dad was in the crowd. He's a season ticket holder at Bamber Bridge. I've heard it every day this week. But for me, it's it was how we bounced back from that defeat. And like I said, credit to Bamber Bridge, they did great. But we move on.
It's quite dramatic. We were quite surprised when Griffiths came off at half time, but was that a fitness issue or was it a tactical issue?
I don't think he had a slight knock on his ankle, which was restraining him from getting into the game. I didn't think his passing was the accuracy as it was. He tried to hit 2 in the first half because his ankle was weak. The ball just didn't get there. And I said at half time, where are you at? And he just wasn't 100%. So it was tactical there. And then, Charlie Ennis just couldn't get him in the game. And there's been a couple of times this season that, I've lost Charlie at half time because I've had to make a tactical decision. And that's nothing against his ability. It just meant we needed to freshen things up. And, I thought we started the second half great, but then we got hit on the sucker punch. And then, after that, it was effectively all over.
I think this was the game we discussed afterwards on air that this was a game when the injuries did perhaps catch up with the squad. That there was a number of new formations, new relationships at the back to some extent, and just a lot of new. By the end, you had, I suppose, what I would guess would be your first choice front six. You probably, in an ideal world, you probably were left with 2 of them by the end of that game.
As a manager, you don't look for excuses and not want to use them as excuses. We've had to do a little bit of work in the loan market. Like I said in the programme notes today, we haven't got the spending power to go and get, the players from the Conference North or, teams to want to come here because they all talk £300, £400, £500. And, when we bring in a loan player, we make a really low contribution towards the wage. And, we'll have to continue to do that. And I know I went public last season about, the amount of loan players that we had. But I don't just bring the names in. I know all about them. I knew Matty Elton, I knew Morgan Hobson-Smith, I knew Trickett Smith, to name a few. I knew Cam when he came in. But it's what we've got to do, and I'm going to continue to do that because this budget means everything to me. Being keeping within your means and still having a good side. And it may take time for lads to get to know each other, but for me, staying on the budget is really important. And I manage a budget doing my day job, and I get set a budget here, and I wouldn't dream of going over it. So that's me.
Well, the budget's the thing that'll it's a life and death of the football club, quite literally, as we've found in recent seasons here, more or less.
Yeah, we talked about that in the summer that for whatever reason we had an overspend the budget for how many years, and but I said to the board and to the fans that I'm really meticulous with that, and I'll stay within it, and we are still within it, and we're having a good season. So the future of the football club's got to be more important. And we talk about, are we ready to go up financially? We don't know. We're not going to stop it because we are, but even if we do and we keep the same budget, we'll live within our means. I certainly won't overspend just to bring players in to increase the budget to maybe get 3 points. It's not what I do, and it's certainly not the philosophy of the football club.
On to Nantwich. Again, especially after the Bamber Bridge result, another test of character, another test of digging in, and as you just said, getting the points is the most important thing. Nantwich, the form team, really in the league over the last month or so.
We went to Nantwich, they're on the back of 7 wins and a draw.
Yep.
We went to South Shields and won 4-1. They put a real statement out there. And we knew, we had a real debrief after the Bamber Bridge game. We spoke again on the Monday night. We came in Tuesday. We had another conversation. And just before we went out, which we don't do, we just all stood up. We had a hug, and I just said to the lads, I said, listen, tactically now, we know how we play. You go across that white line, leave everything on the pitch for this football club, and we'll see what happens at 90 minutes. And I thought, to a man, everybody, they left absolutely everything out there and deserved the 1-0 win.
There was a few points. I think the first point is you made an important tactical change by putting Curtis Jones in front of the back 4, and he had an excellent game. I thought it was arguably the performance of the season in some ways because it came off the back for the first defeat in about 16 league games, and from the moment the game started, you had a sense of a team were just getting on with the job. There was no sense ever in the game of a slight hangover or any kind of timidity, if you know what I mean. So I thought that was very pleasing from an FC point of view.
Yeah, and I said to the lads before we went out, listen, if I would have said to you on October the 15th, we're going to go the next 4 and a bit months unbeaten in the league, and then we're going to go into the Nantwich game and we're going to win, you just wouldn't have believed me. And we did, and I said to the lads, you've done that because you're a really good side. We suffered a little bit of a setback at Barrow. We haven't been at our fluent best. Now, it's gone now. The kind of unbeaten run's gone. There's no one talking about it. Let's go and start it again. And that's why I said, just go and leave everything out on the pitch. And if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. And, we won the game and we deserved to win the game, and for whatever reason there was some shenanigans after the game. It is what it is, but it's a massive 2 games for us. We're looking, putting the Bamber Bridge game to one side. We looked at Nantwich, we looked at Warrington, and we thought, teams around us will want us to drop points here, but we've taken 3 off Nantwich and hopefully go and give Warrington a good test today.
A question I would have asked you if we'd had this a couple of weeks ago was, it's a mentality question again. There's a difference between playing games in October and March in the sense it's all still about 3 points. But in a sense, the question has largely been answered by Tuesday night is, do you think your players have that mentality where there's that extra pressure about dropping points, which there isn't earlier in the season? It seems from Tuesday night they have. Would you feel very confident in that?
Listen, I'm really proud of them. I'm really proud after the Scarborough game, third game of the season, when things didn't go our way and, they bounced back and we went on this run. I was exceptionally proud of them the other day, and I've talked on this TV before about being a roller coaster, the up and downs of football, and people going in different types of mindsets, etc. To go to Nantwich and win Tuesday night on the back of them not losing for 8 games and being the form team, and we just got on the back of a 3-0 defeat.
Terrible conditions, by the way.
It's exceptional. So the character, the hunger, the desire of these boys is incredible, and like I said, I love working with them.
Yeah, it's kind of almost the best conditions we've played in for about a month, isn't it, out there today, looking at it. But anyway, just to finally finish off on that Nantwich piece, Chaddy got a red card, I believe. He's first, he says, for 15 years. He's kind of might be now part of the Renault protection squad. Any further comments to make on what happened, really?
I mean, I was a like man before I came to FC United. For whatever reason, people don't like me. Well, listen, the Nantwich game. I mean, we get this every dugout. Every game we get this slanderous comments about FC United and wannabes, and there was a comment about Munich the other night on the bench, and I thought, where's all this going? And
that's
dreadful. It was awful.
That is dreadful.
Not for
no
the manager,
need for
but
that.
one of the players, and all during the game, and there's people behind me, heard the dugout, the way they were talking to me all through the game, and it was a bit of banter, and at the end of the game we celebrated as a hug, and the manager got hold of my hand and called me X, Y and Z, put his head into my head, and all of a sudden the goalkeeper sprinted 100 yards, slung me round my neck, and then Chaddy stepped in and put the goalkeeper on his backside. The coach then stepped in. I thought it's time to get out of here, so I just ran and went towards the fans and let the melee continue, and it continued into the tunnel, but it was quite unsavoury. I tried to get back down the tunnel and slapped on the head a few times by the Nantwich fans, and someone came to me with a scarf over the nose, and there were people waiting in the tunnel. I just think it's a game of football. I've played football, and you knock 10 bells out of each other for 90 minutes, and you have a pint in the bar after the game, and just get on with it. Get on with it.
Not that I'm justifying anything, but maybe it's a measure of their disappointment of that result. They were unbeaten, they were on a roll. FC had just been beaten. It's a big game. They're trying to get up to the top 3, and they thought this was their chance. I'm not excusing anything, but sometimes when the stakes are high and teams get disappointed, then frustration spills over and goes over the line.
Do you know, James, someone once told me, I'm going back a few years, about leadership. They said, if you can walk out of a room and somebody's talking about you either positively or negatively, then you've done your job, because for whatever reason they want to talk about us, it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, and they continue, to talk about us and not them. And I thought, we went away from there and they probably didn't talk about us very nicely, but on the flip side, they would have said, quite jealous that FC got the points, and so we've gone in there not to make enemies, we've gone in there to do a job, and we did the job, and now we've got to get back to Broadhurst Park today and take a Warrington.
Now you know why this thing on the terrace is everybody needs a nutter in the middle about Chaddy. Basically.
It's not bad to have on the bench. We've got Chaddy one side, I've got Matty Clarkson, the boxer, on the other side. So
you kind of surrounded yourself, haven't you?
You've
been doing a ring walk next. So on to today, Warrington, as you say, just below the playoffs. Big threat, obviously making a play for the playoffs. Conditions today, and I notice the team have wound up on the 3G today to protect the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, listen, first of all, before we get to today's game, immense credit to the ground staff. Graham and Jimmy have done wonders, and Graham rang me before and said, listen, Reno, any chance the lads can warm up on the 3G today? I said, consider it done. I rang Carden, their manager, and I said, we can't go on the pitch before 3 o'clock. The work that they've done has been incredible. That's the first thing. Secondly, look at the Warrington game today. It's 1-1, but they knocked us out of the cup. We've gone and beat them in the league.
And they're very similar form to us in the last 6 games.
Yeah, they are. But what it is with Warrington, that they're on 47 points, played 28. We're on 53, played 29. So if they come here and win today, means they go 3 points behind us with a game in hand. If we win today, we go further clear than them.
And incentives for both.
Baseford's off, so we could go second. And if Gainsborough slip at South Shields, who knows, we could be a point off top tonight. So, it's got lots of external factors today. The conditions will play a part. But, we're going into it full of confidence after Tuesday night's win.
And no easy games there's no easy games anyway, but looking at the games ahead, Mickleover away, South Shields away.
Huge game.
Whitby at home, because Whitby have really crept up. They've got games in hand, the frame. So you haven't got any sort of respite, as if there would ever be in this league anyway.
And you haven't mentioned Scarborough away, Gainsborough away, Ashton,
exactly,
Allerton. Every game now we've got to fight. But do you know something? We're going into the last part of the season now. above where we all thought we were going to be. Top 10 and 1.5 points per game, and maybe a cup final. We're going in there with. We've just talked about if results go for us, we could be 1 point off top tonight, which is it's unthinkable. It's absolutely incredible, and we're enjoying the ride. And if we're not, we're not. We've got to regroup and go again at Mickleover. But I know when them boys cross the white line today, same message as Tuesday night. They're going to have absolutely everything. We're back in the crowd to get behind us, which I know they will do. And come quarter to 5, if we have won and results have gone for us, then wow.
Any team sheet tip-offs today about what formation you're going and who's at the back?
Yeah, we're going to go similar to what we did Tuesday night. Bringing Matty Elton back alongside Doyley, and Curtis is going to play in front. I thought Ben Kerr did well the other night, but Warrington are a big set of lads, so I've dropped Morris back in there. And Charlie Ennis was rested, and Chaz comes in, and Regan drops to the bench. He's had a little bit of a knock. I've had to leave out Larnell Cole and Kyle Hawley out of the 16, which has been difficult. Kyle's just coming back from injury. Larnell's probably not match fit. They're both disappointed, and rightly so. But there's plenty of games to go, and we want lads to stay positive. It was only a couple of weeks ago that we were looking round and could we get 16 out, and all of a sudden I've got Donahue to come back next week. I've got 2 lads left out of the squad now. So we're going into the back end of the season with 19, 20 fully fit players, and I'm going to have to use them all to get over the line.
Yeah, just going on to that. Welcome to the club to Larnell Cole. Obviously, Morgan, Hampton Smith, Dan Trickett Smith. Please don't sign any more Smiths. It's becoming a commentator's nightmare. I just noticed then when I couldn't remember.
Are they all playing today? And the squad, yeah, so they could all be on there.
Oh, God.
Could be.
Sympathy for us then. And the only other thing I'd like to finish with is your thoughts on firewalking.
I'm not sure what I've signed up to here, Ken, to be honest. I mean, I thought...
Well, it's you and Chaddy again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. So, I probably didn't read the small print.
2 nutters.
500 degrees or something. And but no, I'm really looking forward to it.
He's literally dancing on the stool already.
But, I'm really looking forward to it. I hope that we get some support that night. It's for a worthwhile cause, and it's something I've never done. So I didn't have it on the bucket list, but I'll tick it off the bucket list now, and hopefully I come back in one piece, and we'll look forward to it. Chaddy's probably done it a million times. He likes that type of thing, but me, these precious feet.
Well, there's no sense. There's no feeling,
exactly.
Is there?
I did do it about 1981. I remember on a clowning course. Yeah, there's some
on a clowning course.
Yeah,
did you say?
this is to go on us to get my equity card.
Okay.
Anyway, that's that. But that was part of it. We did swallowing, fire and bed of nails and all that. Walking on broken glass and walking on hot coals.
We must talk more about this.
No, we mustn't.
Possibly
it's a
in
long
the bar.
time ago.
We don't know.
Well, thank you for joining us, both of you.
No question from the fans. Is there anything?
We've run out of time. We've overrun anyway. He told us about 10 minutes ago we had 2 minutes left. So so we're going to have to finish there. Obviously, when we do them a bit more often, we'll get some more questions in. But thanks for joining us. Good luck today.
Thanks, James.
And thanks, James, for doing it again. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot.